Good morning. So, what are we? Wednesday for this side of the world. Happy Pump Day. We call it Pump Day. We don't believe in Hump Day here in Better Body Academy, right? Right. Okay, we're going to get started in 2 minutes on a short educational podcast. I thought this was a very good teaching opportunity. So if you're coming into this one live, guys, we're going to stream this one because I think it's a really great episode to help educate some people around how calories can be a little bit confusing sometimes. All right, we're going to get started in about 90 seconds, guys. So if you're coming into this one live, let us know. I want to hear from y'all. So we got 10 people coming in live across the various platforms. How good's this? A little bit of an earlier slot today. As I said, guys, my grand goal is to try to get to a point where I can do this podcast every single day of the week and just continue delivering the value to you guys as much as possible. Just trying to balance off the workload at the moment to make that happen. So whenever I can get an opportunity, we'll do it. Guys, we're going to get started in 30 seconds. We got some crew in here watching on live. Hello, Jen. Jen, the gun show noise. Jen, you're looking amazing in your photos. So good. Hello, Marky Hunter. Good to have your company here this morning, my brother. We got Sue here. Hello, Sue. How are you? Hey, Sue. I just want to let you know that we do apologize. I know that you're in the background of a lot of masterminds with the boys, and we do let off some crass words. So I do apologize, Sue. Hello, Jojo. I hope you're feeling a bit better, Joe. I've been thinking about you. Kimmy, how are you, mate? Good to have your company in here. We got the Oracle, Miss Kel Brown. How are you, girl? Lovely to have your company here this morning. Tez is here, the legend. Who else we got? Jen Lovegrove. How are you, Jen? And Jenny Noyce says, feeling it. Yeah, I love it. Good morning, Tez. I hope you're well. All right, guys. I think we are ready to rock and roll. Hello, Woz. How are you, mate? Good to have your company here, buddy. All right, let's get stuck into this episode on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. And in this short episode, I don't know, it might be short. I want to go through an occurrence that happened with one of my favorite clients. His name's Pete Bryant. He's a member of our men's academy. And he experienced quite an interesting phenomenon happen to him over the course of the last couple of weeks. And I thought this was an excellent opportunity, particularly to those of you that have been in a period of calorie deficit for a long period of time, to just show you how the body works, okay? Sometimes the body doesn't go exactly as we think it should. Pete, in this circumstance, was totally confused about why, when he increased calories, he continued to lose weight. And so I'm going to explain that in the most basic terms that I can. So it helps to give you some, perhaps, judgment about what you should do with your calories next. I also do want to say to people inside of Better Body Academy Elite, once the mastermind finishes, we are in week 11 of 12 right now. Once the mastermind finishes, I'm going to be doing a training on reverse dieting, which is what we're effectively talking about here. Okay, so let's talk about Pete and Pete's history. Okay, so I got on a call with Pete approximately 4 weeks ago, and Pete told me that he was getting to a point where at around 1,800 to 2,000 calories, he was plateauing, okay? He is plateauing. Now, for a man, is that an extremely low level of calories? No, it's not an extremely low level, but certainly for someone that's been in the program for sort of 10 to 12 weeks, I would expect that at around 1,800 to 2,000 calories, a person would be losing weight. And remember, girls, I'm talking about a man here. I would be expecting them to lose weight, especially when, like Pete, he still had a fair bit of extra weight to actually lose. So, confused about this at the time as to what he should do next, we got on the phone. And Pete's very authentic response would be, so Jace, I'm guessing if I want to keep the fat loss happening, what I should do next is drop my calories down to kind of 15 to 1600 and see where that takes me. Now, the problem that I initially have with that is that for a man or a woman, it becomes a slippery slope. If we just keep cutting calories and cut, what's going to end up happening is you're eventually going to get to a point where you're eating nothing. And yes, you might continue to lose weight, but what type of a lifestyle are you going to have if you're eating 1,000 calories or 1,200 calories? Now, more to the point, and I'm going to explain this in a minute, once you start eating again, you're going to have problems. So for me as coach, I'm thinking to myself, why is it that Pete plateaued so quickly in his calorie deficit, even though it wasn't at a crazy low? Like, why has he got into a position where he is losing weight so quickly? Now, when I asked Pete these questions, what he informed me was he'd actually stepped up his gym training by an extra day in the previous month, okay? So he was actually doing more. So he's keeping his calories at around the 1800 level. He was actually doing an extra day of gym training. And in addition to that, he was actually increasing his steps. Now, both of those two things he was doing. Why? Because he was hitting that plateau point and he wanted to continue to lose weight. So it made sense that obviously he needed to do more to budge himself back into a calorie deficit. I mean, that seems to make logical sense, right? But what I wanted to know is, why is it that he's gone into a plateau period? So I asked Pete about, have you been tracking your calories? And he said, yes, religiously tracking the calories. Now, that to me can also mean that there is some human error involved, but let's pretend that Pete was perfect in his calorie tracking. What else could be going on? So what I asked Pete is, Pete, can you tell me a little bit about your history prior to Better Body Academy? Okay, so what has happened in the last year of your life? Have you been eating crazy and whatever you wanted? Or have you been trying to lose weight over a period of time, it wasn't working, and then you've come into BBA to get the answers? Well, actually what had happened is Pete, he didn't really want to tell me, but he basically said to me, hey, Jace, you know what? Truth be told, I did man shake and I kind of lost about 20 kilograms, but I was just drinking shakes. I had no form of kind of life. It just felt crap. I knew it wasn't going to be sustainable. I was looking around and everyone was eating their lunch and I was eating shakes, kind of like what Zach said on the podcast the other day. And he realized that that wasn't sustainable. So what this instantly tells me is that for the 4 months that Pete had been, or 3 months that Pete had been in Better Body Academy, plus the 12 months that Pete had been doing Manshake and other kind of calorie restriction protocols, what had actually happened is collectively for, say, 15 to 16 months, Pete had been in a calorie deficit. Okay? So, in other words, actually a better way to put it, rather than calorie deficit, Pete had been restricting calories in some fashion, some way. Okay, does this make sense till now? Now, how many of you men and ladies prior to coming into Better Body Academy were in exactly the same situation? You had tried the different diets, maybe gone up and down with different yo-yos, but tried to restrict the calories in some way. What we need to understand, and we're kind of building this to a point, what we need to understand, guys, is whilst Michelle and Kenny and Hazel and Jen and Jennifer and Tara and Kev and Bob and all the people that are watching this podcast live, whilst you want to lose weight, your body, or your brain rather, wants to keep you alive. There's a big difference. You want to lose weight because you want to look good in the mirror or in your favorite dress. You want to lose weight because it feels jiggly. You want to lose weight because you want to be a good role model for your kids and your family. You want to lose weight because of whatever the reasons are for you. But your brain's goal, first and foremost, is to keep you alive at all cost. So let's go back to Pete. Pete has lost somewhere around, in the course of 15 months, approximately 35 kilograms. Okay. If Pete continued to lose fat loss at the same rate that he currently had lost the fat up till this last 15 months, in another 15 months' time, if we take another 35 kilograms off Pete, he would be at 60 kilograms. Now, as a guy that's not a short ass, Pete is not massively tall, but he's not short. And if he was weighing 60 kilograms, would you think that this would be a threat to Pete's health? If he was weighing 60 kilograms? Do you think he would look strong? Do you think his body would be saying to him, "Oh, Pete, you're in a fantastic place, mate. Keep going"? No way. Pete's body, for a period of time, has been saying to him, "Pete, I need to try to stop you from losing more weight to keep you alive." This idea is called metabolic adaptation. And as Michelle is saying, Pete would be struggling to get out of bed 100%. He'd be a bag of bones. He'd have no muscle. He would have used all his muscle to fuel the calorie deficit, and that wouldn't be a good position to be in. And so what's happened is, over time, Pete's brain is saying, okay, well, here's what I'm going to do to try to make you eat. I'm going to increase your cravings. I'm going to let go of a couple of hormones that are in the digestive system that cause hunger. I'm going to try to get you behaviorally to start eating. Okay? However, Pete's willpower is strong enough that he can ignore those hunger cues, okay? Fill himself up with protein and fiber and be able to push back on the hunger cues. So the body says, okay, well, I haven't been able to make you eat more food. And every man or woman that's ever been in a calorie deficit knows that hunger comes with a territory because you are quite literally running out of fuel. Your body doesn't want to use its body fat supplies. You're running out of fuel, so it tries to increase cravings and make you hungry. Everyone knows that. So on the other side, if Pete's willpower is good enough and he sticks to his diet, so to speak, the only other option is for the body to say, okay, I'm going to turn down all of the mechanisms. Think of it like a gas hot plate. The gas hot plate, you've got 6 or 8 different stovetops in front of you, and the body says, which of these things are really unnecessary to keeping Pete alive? Okay? I'm going to turn down his sex drive. I'm going to turn down his average daily activity level so he's not fidgeting as much. I'm going to turn down the amount that he's active. I'm going to turn down his metabolism, the rate at which he burns calories. That's the only way that the body's going to be able to stop Pete from burning more calories than he's taken in. So at a certain point, because Pete had been in a calorie deficit for such a long period of time, all those processes that burn calories had been squashed, okay? Put in a suppressed state. Pete's workouts, despite the fact that he was working out really hard, I bet were a real struggle. I bet it was hard to get out of bed a lot of the time for Pete because everything's being suppressed. Okay, so what we decided to do, and this is the point of this podcast, what we decided to do when Pete confided in me that he'd been in this man shake period for such a great period of time, what I realized is, hang on, Pete's been in a calorie deficit for 15 months. Do you think major suppression by his brain of his body's metabolic processes is happening? Of course it is. So I said, Pete, here's what we're going to do. And it was psychologically very hard because Pete had just dipped under the 100 kilogram mark for the first time in years. He started at over 120 kilograms, and now here he was at 99.5 kilograms. And so it felt good for Pete to finally got back under that 100 kilo mark. And I said to him, Pete, I think what we need to do is increase your calories and start reverse dieting. That made no fundamental sense to Pete because of the fact that we all know that you only lose fat when you're in a calorie deficit, and that remains true. So Pete, to his credit, great client, like many of you, he parked his ego and he listened to his coach. By the way, to every single person in the academy, if you are listening to this, we invite you to get on a live streamed coaching call to the academy, of which we coach you directly and the whole entire academy benefits. Okay? So if your circumstances are like Pete's and you're kind of confused and you don't know your next step, just let us know and come on, join us on a live call and we'll broadcast it to the academy so everyone benefits from the coaching like this. So we did that. Pete went back into work. He works shift work. His meals get planned and prepped for him because he's on site. And the reality is, Pete actually, he eyesighted the food, but anyone that is not physically tracking and weighing knows that it's going to be a massive underestimation of calories. So I said to Pete, how ham did you go? Did you just not even reverse diet? Did you just eat to your heart's content? He said, no, Jace, I didn't eat to my heart's content. I said, would it be right that you probably increased your calories by at least 300 or 400 calories? So you went from, for the last 2 weeks, you went from, say, 1,800 calories a day to probably 2,300 calories. So you've added back in 400 or 500 calories. Is that probably what you reckon's happened? He goes, Jace, I reckon that's spot on. And then he got on the scales yesterday and he'd gone from a touch over 99.5 down to just a touch over 97. So he increased his calories by 400 to 500, but he lost more weight. And he's gone, fuck, what? I don't understand how this can possibly happen. And this is the power of reverse dieting. This is also the power of understanding that your metabolism is a strong force. Its ultimate goal is to keep you alive. So when Pete reintroduced 400 to 500 calories back into his diet after having such calorie suppression for a long period of time, what do you think Pete's body did? Pete's body went, fucking party time, Pete. It's about time you gave us some extra calories so that we can start to do the things that we like doing. Like giving you a sex drive as an example. Now, I don't know if Pete went home and had mad sex for 2 weeks. I don't know. But the point is, he got back in to a little bit more calories, a little bit higher calories. And so what happened as a consequence of this is that despite the fact that he added 400 to 500 more nutritional calories back in, the bounce in metabolic rate that happened as a result of that was more than 400 to 500 calories. Remember, you only lose calories, you only lose fat when you're in a calorie deficit, when you're in a position that your body needs to call upon your fat supplies to burn fuel. How did he adding calories back in cause that? Because the bounce that Pete got metabolically by adding more calories was enough to outdo the extra 400 or 500 calories in. Now, these aren't accurate numbers, but let me give you an example of what may have happened. Pete's added in 300, 400, 500 calories nutritionally, but his average daily metabolism and maybe the amount that Pete was fidgeting, so all of the additional things that we do when we aren't suppressed in calories as much, he might have put back in 300 to 500 calories nutritionally, but his metabolism has bounced 600 to 700 calories, which means although he's eating more calories, he's in a further calorie deficit. Now, isn't that, Michelle said in the comments, that's craziness. Isn't that the holy grail? That's the holy grail. We all want to get to the point, ladies and gentlemen, where we are eating 2,500 to 3,000 calories per day, but maintaining our weight. So, what's the takeaway from this whole thing? Okay, well, first takeaway is this. And of course, I want all of you to stay around and do the elite program. Of course, I want to retain you all as clients. But if you're going to go and try to do this yourself after your initial period and you don't have a protocol of reintroducing calories back in, which is one of the main focuses that we're bringing into elite, if you do it the wrong way, it's highly likely that you're going to restore a lot of the fat that you lost because you don't know how to reverse diet properly. Okay? That's the first takeaway. The second takeaway would be this, and practically for you listening, what should you do with your calories? You need to ask yourself, how long have I been in a calorie deficit period for? Or again, a better way to think about this is, how long have I been suppressing calories for? If it has been a period of, 15 to 20 weeks, and you're not getting any budging on your current levels, and you can't walk anymore, and you're already doing 4 or 5 sessions a day, and you're at 15 or 1600 calories, at that point, you need to say to yourself, okay, if the only thing that's going to work is me eating 1,000 calories and starving myself, that's not going to be sustainable. Let me try increasing calories for a short period of time. The hard part about this is that you won't always lose weight. Remember, the body's goal is to keep you alive. So you won't always lose weight. But particularly to the Australians who are in earshot or distance shot of summer, this is a great opportunity for you. And so Michelle, I've had this conversation with Linda as well. What I would be personally doing is increasing your calories back out over until, say, the end of October. Why? Because if you cut from where you currently are at 1,600 calories, well, you don't have a long way to go before you're eating nothing. But if we can get your calories slowly back up to, say, 2,400, 2,500, just before summer kicks in, then this could possibly mean that maybe on the 1st of November, we could do a harsh cut on the 1st of November and hold that cut for 3 to 4 weeks. And instead of cutting from 1,600 calories and starving yourself, we're cutting from 2,600 calories back down to 1,800 calories. You've just given yourself a massive runway of calorie deficit. So if you can play the long game, this is so important. This is the reason why getting to your perfect ideal weight in the quickest, shortest possible time is generally not ideal. If you're a man or a woman who has a fair amount of weight to lose, you got to really understand that that's going to be achieved by a succession of deficits and reverse diets. Deficits and reverse diets. Each time, the point of the reverse diet is to boost your metabolism back up again so that when you do a cut, you're cutting from an amount which is actually sustainable for you to cut from without effectively starving yourself. Does this make sense? And this is very, very different to all of those that you might be thinking, well, this sounds like yo-yo dieting. No. Yo-yo dieting goes like this. I'll starve myself as much as I can possibly starve myself. Oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I have to eat everything in sight. So yo-yo dieting looks like this. Like, this is the reason why. And each time you yo-yo diet, you drive your overall metabolism down, which is a long-term problem. We've got to avoid that. Instead, when we're talking about deficits and then reverse diets, what we're actually doing is very slow movements upwards and downwards of calories and in a controlled fashion, not a completely unbridled feast or famine fashion. Does this make sense? So to the 15 to 20 of you watch this live, let us know if this has been helpful for you understanding just a little bit more about how the metabolism works and how the job of the brain is to keep you alive despite what you actually want to do. Despite what you want to look like, the job of the body and the brain is to keep you alive. And so when we understand this, we can manipulate calories a little bit more to kind of test the body. And it's not a perfect science, okay? Sometimes it does the opposite of what we do. But your metabolism's not broken. Your metabolism's actually doing what it's meant to do. If you are entering plateau periods, that's not your metabolism broken. That's your metabolism doing what it's meant to, keep you alive. And if it didn't do that, you could end up like 50 kilo Pete Bryant, which would be not good for anyone. Okay, guys, and I really hope that says plenty of comments there saying this makes perfect sense and it's great. And if you have got any questions, please reach out to the Success team and we will help out. And I will say again, if you want to just check about your circumstances and you want to have a one-on-one chat with myself or one of the coaches, I want you to message us and just say simply, Jace, I want to jump on a live call. And you'll be a little bit nervous about getting live for the rest in front of the rest of the academy. But guess what's going to happen as a result of doing that call? You're going to get outside of your comfort zone. You're going to get the direct answers that you want for your specific situation. And the second part to that is that you're going to grow in confidence because of the fact that, hey, I just put myself out there. I made use of the coaching program that I'm actually paying for. Guys, this has been Coach Jace with the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. And I'll see you guys through the week. Love you all. Have a beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening.